Everyone, welcome back to the DNVR Avalanche podcast, a pregame show here in the Toyota Lounge. We got Rudo, we got J-Mike, we got Bailey coming at you for a matinee game. The Colorado Avalanche are hosting the Columbus Blue Jackets for their second game of the 7-game homestand. As we've mentioned already, kind of a weird homestand with a couple weird teams.
Yeah.
Is there some weird vibes coming out of this one? For you guys?
I mean, it's a matinee game, so there's always a little bit of weirdness with these, but we're far enough into the season. The Avs have played enough of these at this point that it feels like they should be ready and know what to expect. And when you run into a team like Columbus, does context even matter? You just got to beat teams like that.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I think a lot of my weirdness, too, comes out of you beat a team as well as you did against the Ottawa Senators. How much of that is repeatable versus, we expensed all of our energy scoring goals last game to, okay, is this the one where some of those come to bite us just a little bit?
I mean, you would hope that they didn't expend too much, but that third period did get kind of weird. It wasn't exactly like a let's cruise control. It got very chippy, so I guess we'll see, what kind of legs they have. I'm more worried about the ice potentially, just given that the Nuggets played last night. Now you get the 2 p.m. game. We'll see how they respond. I will say, and maybe this is just based on like the traditional calendar. Obviously, if you're a pro hockey player, the whole concept of 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, that doesn't mean a whole ton. Mm-hmm. But a Saturday or a Sunday matinee game doesn't feel as weird to me as those random Columbus Day games where it's a Monday or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I mean, the Avs shouldn't be that tired from that game, right? Like, I know you had to defend yourself against the nonsense from Ottawa in the third period, but you shot, 20%, 22% or something it ended up being at the end of that game. It's not like the Avs were grinding that game out in the offensive zone. They were just throwing pucks at the net and it was going in. So it should not be a significant impact. They finally had a couple of nights sleeping in their own bed. That should help the rest a little bit. This is a game the Avs should be ready for.
Speaking of ready for, there are a couple guys want to go ahead and get into our common spirit injury report just to kick off some of our coverage for this game. Few more injuries than we are, I think, used to seeing through the first half of the season. Everybody is week to week, which, Logan O'Connor is kind of a weird one for me since it's not super clear as to what's going on. Bednar's been very stingy with information there. But the rest of these guys, Landeskog, we know we're going to miss him for a while. Taves and Kiviranta, we're just kind of waiting. Taves especially, he's not back on the ice yet, but still kind of waiting for some updates there. Kiviranta hoping to get back soon, and then Blackwood. This is a weird one for me where Bednar was like, he's already missed a week, so could realistically be back today.
Yeah. Not all week-to-weeks are created equal, I guess, in the Avalanche organization.
If everybody's week-to-week, is anybody week-to-week?
So that's the kind of weird one for me. There is a chance we could see Blackwood playing in tonight's game or at least backing up. We'll not know until...
Yeah. The curse of recording pregame early with the Avs starter situation, for sure.
Yeah, no idea. But with that, couple different storylines coming out of this one. Biggest one for me, the return of Miles Wood and Charlie Coyle. Coming back to the team, Charlie Coyle, trade deadline acquisition from last season. Miles Wood kind of didn't have a great end to the season, or at least his time with the Avalanche. Is there some former Av curse coming here in this one?
Are we really even counting Charlie Coyle as a former Av? He was here for
Played
like
at least
20
one
games.
game.
It's like, do you count if you've been in an airport in a city?
Right.
Have you been to that city?
I'd count it just to say I've been there.
Makes one of us.
I mean, look, we know who Miles Wood is. He's going to create chaos. Who knows what really happens? I don't think he's really a threat you're game planning around. But Charlie Coyle has put together a pretty good season so far in Columbus.
Seems to be a good fit there.
Yeah, that's a guy you do have to watch out for a little bit. If I was a betting man, which I am, I'd put my money on Coyle on the X-Player curse on that side of things. But realistically, with the depth that Columbus lacks, I suppose, this should be a game where the Avs depth can outshine some of those ex-Avs.
Columbus is one of those weird ones to me, too, because, again, you look at this team, they're last in the East. But they've made a ton of moves to try and become a better team in a way, or at least change up their identity in a way. You get a Mason Marchment, who is a known, Avs chaos
love that
creator.
We have to play against him again.
So there's that kind of coming out of this. But I do think it's interesting knowing that they made those moves. You've got Charlie Coyle, who's been such a good fit. You've got a Miles Wood, who's been, sufficient in creating something positive for you guys. I don't know. It just makes the identity of this Blue Jackets team just a little weird to me.
Yeah, it's a problem with Mason Marchment because you're worried about people getting hurt.
Mm-hmm. Avs are already dealing with a ton of that, so the least we can deal with that, the better.
Hopefully there's nobody else added to that injury report presented by our friends at Common Spirit. Experience the difference compassion makes. Find a Common Spirit location near you and discover a new standard of health and healing by visiting mountain.commonspirit.org. Common Spirit Health, official healthcare partner of the Denver Broncos.
Thank you. Another thing kind of coming out of this, too, we talk about those, airport, like former team situations. Gavin Brindley.
Yeah.
Against his former team.
Yeah.
As well. Former in all quotes.
He played one game for the actual Blue Jackets.
Yeah. So
that is who drafted him, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if you're looking at this trade overall, like, I mean, Columbus is obviously benefiting from a guy like Charlie Coyle being in the lineup. But if you're talking about the identity of a team and what the Avs have become known for, a lot of that resiliency, a lot of that push and juice that they've created in those games, Gavin Brindley's been a huge part of that.
Totally. And he's a guy that you hope, like in these scenarios where you are a little bit shorthanded, is able to kind of maximize his opportunities, right? And to his credit, he's been pretty opportunistic over the course of this season, especially for a young guy. Feels like those returns early on were probably a little bit unsustainable in terms of where he was producing at for a couple of weeks there. But this is an opportunity for him to kind of further cement his status within this lineup, right? And like show that whether, you've got the Landeskog's of the world out there or not, he is somebody you want to be out there and part of the rotation.
He's... you don't look at this trade as a one-to-one type of thing, really. But if you compare him to Miles Wood as they play in similar spots in your lineup, Brindley finds ways to be effective every single game in a similar way to Miles Wood, in the sense of he works really hard. He'll find a way to engage and create chaos a little bit. The difference being it's a lot more controlled with Gavin Brindley. Miles Wood is going to go out there and you're going to live with some of the blemishes in his game, like taking penalties. Brindley rarely ever takes penalties, and in fact, even does a pretty good job of drawing penalties at times. And you can find a lot of positives in Gavin Brindley's game that I don't want to necessarily say Columbus overlooked, but maybe weren't willing to give the chance to flourish the way he has in Colorado.
Yeah. No, with the way that Brindley plays, I get a little concerned there too. Like his size is obviously concerned, but
always going to be, yeah.
Production wise, like I'm surprised he has not gotten on the board more. But there's also something to be said about how much he's been shuffled around the lineup. His versatility there, while it's been impressive, I would like to see more out of him.
Yeah,
and I feel like there is a duality of that too, where this is his first like real full season in the NHL. So like how much of this is expectation being set versus, it's his first season. Give him a little bit of grace on the production side of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's some A, some B, right? There is if you're an NHL forward, you have to produce at some level. 20, 25 points is pretty much the minimum expectation for a season-long campaign. Now, Brindley has been in and out of the lineup a little bit, dealing with some injuries at times, so there is some of that. But, yeah, at a certain point, pucks do have to go in the back of the net. Not necessarily from your stick, but from your line stick. I give him a little bit of leeway there because you look at the teammates he's playing with. He's had shifts with Yoel Kiviranta when he's healthy, and Kivi is producing virtually no offense this year. It's tough because the Avs have a system that is built around letting certain lines be the offensive lines and having certain lines be their defensive stoppers. Mm-hmm. And Brindley has kind of moved all over the place in the lineup with that. Sometimes you see him with Victor Olofsson and Jack Drury, and the expectation is he drives a bunch of offense. Yep. And then some nights he's with Parker Kelly and I guess Bartikov, or sometimes it's Drury on that line's 4C2. And that line's goal is, hey, don't let anything bad happen.
Don't be a liability.
Exactly. So yeah, there is a little bit of context that matters there. But yeah, at a certain point, you want to see him get some points.
As far as points go, we've talked about the offensive side of things too, but there's a pretty significant defensive showdown here in a Cale Makar and a Zach Werenski, who, I mean, you're talking about two Norris candidates. Zach Werenski, despite the Blue Jackets being where they are, is putting up a heck of a Norris campaign on the season so far. How reliant are these two teams going to be on their specific guys? You're talking about stars maybe not showing up. Cale Makar had a kind of great comeback last game. How much are they looking to get out of those top stars in order to win tonight?
I think less from the Avs. Not that Cale Makar is absolutely a special talent, but they have other special talents. Mm-hmm. Whereas Columbus has Zach Werenski and guys. Don't get me wrong, I really like Adam Fantilli, but he's just not there yet. Yeah. So, the Columbus needs that Werenski a lot more than the Avs need that out of Makar.
I feel like they're really dependent on Werenski to kind of play make too.
Yeah.
Whereas, like the Avs, when you get that out of Cale, that's nice. It's a benefit, but that's really not something he has to do. He can kind of just come in and rip some shots. I just think that you can kind of key in on him a little bit more, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Like if you can contain him, there's just less options on Columbus that are going to make you pay. Whereas, you might put Cale in a box here or there. It's tough to do with how well he skates, but then that's fine because Nietzsche and McKinnon are out there. Right. So that's all right. We'll just play through them instead.
Well, and you need to do that. You need to focus in on Werenski. Everyone knows Werenski's really good, but I do think a good amount of people underrate just how good he is. In my opinion, he's probably the second best defenseman in the NHL and has been for a while. Sorry, Quinn Hughes. Sucks to suck. But the reason Werenski gets underrated is he has availability issues. Always hurt. He finally had a healthy season last year, or a mostly healthy season, and everyone went, oh my God, this guy's really unbelievably good. His offensive ability is elite. There are not many guys defensively that can do what Werenski does. The Avs are lucky to have Cale Makar, who is one of those, but you have to look at that guy, and unlike a Miles Wood, Werenski is the guy you game plan around for sure.
Yeah. I think when you look at this team is the biggest threat for me. I mean, he's chasing Cale Makar for points.
46-point season is pretty dang impressive at this stage.
Yeah, no, especially for where Columbus is at in the standings too. So that's going to be a big threat too. Something I did want to mention while we're going down the lineup too is these are two teams that are working the heck out of their current starting goaltenders. So that was kind of interesting to me. And looking at a Jet Greaves who has played 5+ games in a row versus a Scott Wedgwood who is currently holding this crease together in Blackwood's absence.
Jet's young. His hips are still spry. It's fine for him.
So I guess that leads into my question too, is this, you look at a season that Zach Werenski's having, you look at a Charlie Coyle who's doing really well for this team. You've got a top line who can score if your goaltending's not where it should be. how obviously goaltenders are huge in every game, but how much more does that matter in a game like this?
Can I answer after the second period?
Fair.
I mean,
valid.
Look, we know who Wedgwood is at this point. And yes, he's having a great year, and I truly believe he's the perfect fit in Colorado for the role that he's playing. But you're starting to drift into he's played 5, 6, 7 in a row. We kind of know eventually there's going to be a rough game in there. Mm-hmm. And
could today potentially be a minor day? Just given you got the 8 p.m. game Monday night, get him a little extra rest? I
would. Yeah. I think there's very few universes where Jared Bednar would.
I mean, the thing is, for me, too, is Minor's shown that he's capable.
Yeah, totally.
You look at the performance that he put up against, comeback Carolina Hurricanes team when Scott Wedgwood kind of fell.
I do kind of appreciate Bednar's old man energy with some of it, though, when he starts to allude to, I can't play back-to-backs, can't play too many games in a row. And it's like when you hear old guys talk about baseball pitchers back in the day. It's, you had to pitch 2 days this week, huh?
Threw 150 pitches yesterday, and I'm out here again. I honestly, when you look at the Avs firepower and you look at a team like Columbus, I think it matters less in this game. I think this is really a game you look at and go, regardless of who's in net, regardless of how they play, you should really be able to outscore your problems against a team like Columbus. So just let the goalie be a non-factor and go take care of business.
Speaking of problems, the power play last game was not one of them.
No.
Surprisingly enough.
Praise Jesus.
Pleasant surprise, yes.
So, but this is a situation where Columbus still has the leg up. And Tiff, I don't know if you have team graphics to pull up here. Columbus kind of has the edge, at least on the man advantage here.
Low bar.
Very low bar considering where the Avalanche are at. But overall, this is kind of like a middle of the bar team, which is a lot of teams in the East. And then you have a Colorado where it's the best penalty kill in the league.
Yep.
Versus Columbus's bottom 5.
Yep.
So this is a game, again, as you mentioned, Rudo, you hope the Avalanche can outscore their problems. The special teams you're hoping is not a problem they have to outshoot tonight.
Yeah, you certainly hope so.
It is trending the right direction. Finally, we're seeing the number go down. Instead of for a while, it was I'd come on 28th in the league, 29th in the league, 31st in the league.
It's been better over the last 2-3 weeks. You're starting to get pucks trickling in. It's too early to say you're feeling confident in it, but you at least feel like, hey, maybe there's some hope.
These are the teams you work it out against, though, right? You're able to get it going the other night. Now, feels like kind of a similar situation. Set the pace, put the pressure on them. Maybe you draw them into some dumb penalties. And then if you do get those man-up situations, take advantage, especially when, it's actually a game.
Well, and I talked about this in my review of our last game a little bit, and I think maybe the biggest success we've seen from the Avs power play. Yeah, you need the good puck movement, all of that. But both the goals in last game that go in, one-timers. A couple of the other Brock Nelson goals who's really helped that power play start scoring a little bit, one-timers. The Avs have so many of these cross-ice plays that we've seen this year that sometimes they don't get through, sometimes they do. But they almost feel wasted when the pass gets through, the player catches it, collects it, dusts it off, and then shoots. And by then, the goalie's all the way across and ready for it. That little bit of urgency with the shot, I think, is super necessary for their power play to find a little bit more consistency. And sometimes that one-timer is going to catch the heel and shoot off into the corner. You're just going to have to live with that. You got to give yourself a chance to score.
As Bednar mentions consistently, your goaltender has to be your best penalty killer. Yeah. And it seems like with the power play through the season so far, they're looking for that perfect pass. They're looking for that perfect lane to shoot through. But in that, again, you're not making it as dangerous for yourself. And it feels like that's the key piece that they've really started to figure out in the last few games, and especially, I mean, where Brock Nelson is concerned. He seems like the key for a lot of the success. And I know Jared Bednar was very, very quick to say, like, you need to get it out of all of your guys. But it seems like something's clicking for Brock Nelson, just a little bit more there.
He's the old man in the rec center that understands less is more. You don't have to do all that dribbling, son. Just one little boom, manipulate the space, let it go. They get so cute, and I understand these guys are so skilled. So like I understand the desire to like let's really, put it on here. Let's create a highlight. But
you don't have to.
It's just better scoring goals. Like it doesn't matter if it's the prettiest goal you've ever seen, just let it rip. And then the more you do some of that stuff, the more it's going to open up space and you're going to be able to do some of that cross ice passing and it's going to create those opportunities. But when you're not taking the simple ones, now the space is tightening. They know you're pressing things. Like you're just playing right into the opposition at that point. So I just want to see the guys kind of continue to lean into that. What Bailey's talking about, just let it rip. And if that has to be primarily Brock Nelson that's doing it, great. But it does feel like even Marty and Nate and some of these other guys are finally kind of buying into that. Let's just let it rip.
Yep, 100%. The NHL has approached the Avs on the penalty kill with we're going to make them beat us style of attack. We're going to put pressure on and make them make an exceptional play. And we're finally starting to see a couple of those connect. The Avs can keep that up for a couple of weeks. You'll see the league back off, and then things will open up, like you said.
With that said, though, I mean, as important as it is, I think, for the Avs to continue that positive trend against a team like Columbus, you're also talking about one of, if not the best 5-on-5 team in the league. And where a game like last one is concerned, you see guys like a Josh Manson, like a Ross Colton, really kind of have incredible nights, too. You talk about your stars and getting that production out of them. Was last game an anomaly for guys like Ross Colton or Josh Manson, or is that something against a team like Columbus they can kind of continue and positively trend for as well?
I don't know if anomaly is the right word, but it's certainly not the expectation out of Josh Manson, right? He's got those crazy pop-off games in the bag, but if he goes back to a no points, 5 hits type of night against Columbus, you're perfectly okay with that. Colton, on the other hand, you want to see keep it up. He's a guy where you need that offensive production to really feel happy with where he's at, especially if you see him moving up onto that second line like we're seeing right now with Landeskog out of the lineup. There's got to be the points there for him. And Columbus should be a team where he can step up for the Avs. At a certain point, he's got to put a puck in the back of the net instead of just picking up those assist points. But you'll take it however you can get it from him, obviously. The Avs are not at a lack of production, right? It's not like we're desperately screaming out for guys to start putting up points. But you do want to see some consistency, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of bonus when you get that. I mean, what Manson did the other night's absurd. A 4-point night on top of destroying in a fight and almost posting a double Gordie Howe hat trick, which I don't know if I've ever seen anybody come that close to doing it.
Yeah,
but
I do not believe it's ever happened. So
it was just needed one more, man. But I agree with you guys. Like you like that they have that ability, right? You like that a Brent Burns is capable of ripping one from the line and scoring for you. You like that Manson's able to jump up in the play and be actively engaged. But like really what I'm concerned with is, are you doing the things you normally do in terms of kind of being the sheriff out there and, protecting everybody. And obviously the physicality that he brings is huge, but I don't need that every night from him to be impactful. Just continue to do what you've done all season, because these guys understand their roles really well.
I think that middle six especially has been huge in the last few games too. You're looking at a better game out of a guy like Jack Drury.
Yeah, Drury's been much better lately. Yeah.
You come to appreciate it, and that's something Bednar has mentioned multiple times about being something he can rely on too, is knowing you've got that production out of that depth. They can turn it on at any time. That's huge in games like this. It's
interesting. You're balancing that middle six around, and I don't think that this is necessarily a problem, but the Victor Olofsson hole in your lineup is starting to become you might have to do something about this pretty soon.
What's the deal there? You think confidence, fit, like?
I part of it is I think he's always just been a streaky guy, which makes it tough because Ross Colton's always been a streaky guy. So you get two guys on a cold streak at the same time, right? And it's like, this is a little bit rough. And Olofsson doesn't bring the same things that Ross Colton does when high energy, a bit of a pest, does other effective stuff. Olofsson,
if you're not scoring,
right?
How are you impacting the game?
Yeah. Exactly. So it's a little bit tough right now to fit him in. And I do wonder when the Avs start getting guys back how that lineup shakes out. But look, every night's an opportunity. If Olofsson goes out there and pops off for a couple of games, you can stop that conversation really quick.
Yep. Speaking of those streaky guys and looking for some of that production, do want to get into the crystal ball segment of the show. Rudo, start with you. Give me a score. Give me a name.
Well, for takeovers, everyone always wants me to take my shirt off, so I got to go 7-1. I always say if they get to 7,
he says begrudgingly.
Yeah. They get to 7, the shirt comes off at the takeover. That's the rules. So
all right,
I'll go with that score.
It's going to be a fun suite if that's the case.
They usually do score pretty well for our takeovers, so I'm hopeful it's a good game at least. For a player, let's go Nichushkin. I didn't really put a lot of thought into that one, but it does feel like it's been a bit for Val.
Fair.
Put one in the back of the net.
J-Mike?
I'm going to say we flirt with seeing Rudo shirtless, but don't quite get there.
Just belly.
Whether that's a positive or a negative is to be determined at this point.
Less of my skin is better, for sure.
Well, it depends. You don't know. We want to give the people what they want.
All right.
I'll go 6-2 Avs, and I'm going to say Brock Nelson keeps this hot streak he's on.
I like
Love
it.
that,
I like it. I mean, especially against the Blue Jackets, you're looking for the lieutenant to put up some big numbers.
That's alternate captain to you these days.
My bad. No, I think in this one, give me 5-3.
We're just stepping it down a little
just
bit.
a little bit. This feels maybe a little trappy to me in the sense of like I'm worried with the stretch of games coming here, and we'll talk about this in a second. But you've got some easier teams coming in, and I worry about the Avs playing down just a little bit. But they do get the win, 5-3. That's my prediction. Give me a Cale Makar goal. I think if you're looking at a best on best sort of kind of defensive matchup, like you're looking for a Cale Makar to beat a Zach Werenski.
Yeah,
we are due for like a just monster Cale Makar game where you get like guttural sounds coming out of McGahee and Mosier in the respective broadcast booths.
I mean, Eric Johnson dropped a little
bad
word on the broadcast
TV.
too. So if you can get a night out of Eric Johnson in the radio booth, that I'll take it.
Come on the show, EJ. Just put it out there.
Anytime, buddy.
Anytime.
We'll have a fun time.
Anybody could score, but I'm interested to see where your bets are at for this one tonight, Rudo.
Let's get into the pregame picks presented by Bet365. I did go with the X-Player curse. Well, that's not it. Broncos stuff.
Take advantage of the diehards, though, while we're at it.
Hey, you heard it here first. When you win, because you bet on Gavin Brindley to score, take that money, go become a diehard. Also did take the Colton Point. Really want to see him get going. And then they have a great boosted bet for Nathan McKinnon to go ham tonight. 5 shots on goal, score, and the Avs to win at plus 275.
So another Matt God mode game.
I mean, is that even God mode? I feel like 5 shots on goal is like an average Nathan McKinnon game. One just has to go in.
Compared to, all the lowly average players in the league. Maybe.
By the way, like betting on Nathan McKinnon has more 3-point nights this season than he does 0-point nights. So like it's actually not a bad bet to just take Nathan McKinnon for 3 or more points. You could just
the value's there.
Yeah.
If you bet it every game this season, you would be up big time.
Same, just taking the Avs to win. I know it's not like big winnings, but you would have won 32 out of 43 games.
You know what's better than losing is winning a little bit.
Just win some.
Just a little bit.
Profit's a profit.
You're going to profit if you bet strictly the Avs to win every night this year. You will be up at the end of the season, I promise.
We're getting greedy and gluttonous, though. I get it.
Sometimes. You got to hunt big sometimes. When you do, make sure you do it with Bet365. Of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today.
While we wrap this thing up, because we do have a takeover to get to here tonight, DNVR crew, all of us are going to be in the building. Yeah. AJ is also here in Colorado, so we're super excited to have the crew back together.
Not showing up a minute too early, though. Doesn't want to spend too much time with us.
Second.
Yeah, so we're super excited to bring this party to Ball Arena. Again, second game of the homestand. You've got an easier schedule in this one. As I mentioned, I'm feeling a little weird about this one just because of the easiness of it, or like on paper. Yes, hockey is one of those ones where it could go either way any given night.
Of course.
But I worry a little bit with, you have such a big game against an Ottawa. Where is some of that, playing down to your opponent? What does that kind of look like?
Plus, like a prime time matchup against the Maple Leafs coming up, where I know they're not the big draw, but these guys, they're a big brand, and it's just part of it. Big brand, prime time,
is there maybe a little bit of an emotional letdown after you bop a team 8-2? Sure, but I would hope that the back-to-back losses should still be pretty fresh in this team's mind, right?
Yep.
They
Chip on the
know,
shoulder.
Yeah, show up and go dunk on a team.
Plus, a C effort from the Avs most times is still good for a multi-goal win.
True. Yep. You win 3-4 in a row here. You get through that Nashville game. You run into a trap game against the Ducks or something, and I'd be like, all right, fine. It really shouldn't happen tonight.
Yep.
I say tonight at 2 p.m. today.
2 p.m., the matinee weirdness. It just adds on top of it. I'm not sure I have a whole lot else for this one. Any final thoughts?
Avs wagon.
Avs are good. Hot take. However this one goes, whether it's a win or loss, the guys are going to be here breaking this one down. I will be in arena getting you guys all the post-game content, but that's going to do it for this pregame show, and we will see you for post-game here at the DNVR Avalanche podcast.
All city like the mayor.